Welcome aboard Imagination Skyway, your guided tour through the worlds of Disney and Imagineering. I'm Matthew Kroll, your host on this panoramic journey, and I'm on a mission to better understand the stories and places we love and the people who bring them to life. The Beak Barrel Pirates of the Caribbean Tavern opened at Magic Kingdom this summer, and I had the incredible opportunity to experience this new dining location at Walt Disney World during a media preview at Destination D23. This tavern is more than just a place to eat and drink. I'm sure the photos and videos speak to that if you've seen them. It's an experience that brings you into the world of Pirates of the Caribbean, both the attraction and the film franchise, in a truly immersive environment brimming with story-driven details and show elements that will make you want to set sail like a true Pirates of the Caribbean. In this episode, my guest and I will share our experience at the Beak Barrel in an episode that's light on spoilers, but still offers a comprehensive analysis of this new experience and things you should look out for on your next visit. As you fasten your seatbelt, I encourage you to take out your mobile devices and search for Imagination Skyway on your favorite social media app. Better yet, if you're looking for ad-free episodes, bonus content, or the ability to comment directly on the podcast, head to patreon.com/imaginationskyway, where you can sign up for a free account or a premium subscription. And if this episode leaves you yearning for a trip to Disney or any other destination, reach out to our partners and sponsors at KMV Travel by visiting kmvtravel.com/skyway. As we begin our journey, please remain seated, keep your hands and arms inside the podcast at all times, and enjoy your journey aboard Imagination Skyway. This summer, I had the incredible opportunity to dine someplace entirely new. It was one of the places I was the most excited about that was announced in the last couple of years, which is the brand new, first pitched as Pirates of the Caribbean Tavern, officially became known as the Beak Barrel over at Magic Kingdom. And this episode is dedicated to talking all about my first and so far only experience there, but spoiler alert, I definitely plan to go back. To do this, I wanted to bring on a guest who had the opportunity as well to dine there with me. We were running around the room together, looking at stuff and talking about what we were experiencing, and that is a first-time guest on the show, CJ, who we worked together at WDW Magazine. So CJ, welcome to the show.
Thanks, my friend. Good to talk to you, man. Good to talk to you, Matt. I love the yes. We walked around quite a little bit, and I won't put the cart before the horse. But thanks to you, there's some really fun Easter eggs that we're going to talk about today that I wouldn't have known if I wasn't in the room with you, my friend. So I'm excited to be here with you and to talk about it.
Thank you. I was describing to my family that I think for most people in that room, I probably looked a little crazy. Because while everyone was sitting and eating and relaxing and enjoying themselves, I was walking around the room like I was looking for buried treasure. I was just looking for all the signs, the clues, the Easter eggs. I was leaning over benches, things that I knew I would not have the opportunity. I should say that we were both invited at a media preview, so it was a pretty incredible opportunity to see it without being limited to a particular booth or table, which gave us the chance to literally, I'm saying I'm leaning over a booth. There was nobody sitting there. I would just walk over. There'd be no one. I'd be like, oh, I'd crawl up. I'd look at the shelves. I was trying to find everything I possibly could in case a WDW Magazine article comes up, or just for my own personal, it's like a personal playground for me. When else do you get to just walk around and explore like that?
Absolutely.
So,
I don't think any of your listeners are surprised though, Matt. Like if at the end of the day, man, like we know who you are. We know that those little details, the Imagineering side of things, that's a huge deal for you. So like no, that's a surprise to nobody who actually knows you. That's what you're going to be out there looking for. Obviously for me, like I had to have some of the food, I had to have the beverage, I had to try the whole experience, but I also knew who to find in the room when the time came to talk about the Easter eggs. So I'm glad you are the one who went out and did the investigating, because I knew you'd be the one to find them.
Yeah, and I know there were some folks there on the media who this was their second time getting to experience it, so they were a little more laid back. They were there to have fun and sample more of the food and drink. So I know our experience was a little unique. We'll talk about what guests can expect, what listeners can expect if they don't have a media preview opportunity. I think, just our setup was a little bit different, but otherwise we experienced what everybody else is going to experience. But before we jump into it, I always love to start with rapid fire questions, and I've been tailoring them. I used to do the same old ones, but I'm tailoring them to the topic of discussion just to prime and whet our appetites for the conversation. And mine are all, of course, Pirates related, a mix of film and ride questions. Starting with, we have now, I think it's 5, right? I'm losing count, but 5 Pirates of the Caribbean films. Which is your favorite of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise?
Oh boy, Dead Men Tell No Tales. I guess probably has to be. Yeah, yeah. And honestly, as you said, there's so many of them. I've seen them so many times, but it's also been a while that the whole storyline itself becomes one like muddled storyline to me. So is it fair to say that I just do appreciate where they took the journey as a whole? Like, yes, I
Yeah.
still have my favorite one film, but I love where the story has gone so far, as we have been getting teasers and told that we can expect much more. But yeah, I'm kind of, that's where I am now. I would say Dead Man Tell No Tales. That's probably the number one. But the story as a whole, I think, is just a great telling of that entire story.
Yeah, for me, it's Curse of the Black Pearl. I think
Okay, that's another solid.
yeah, I mean, that Dead Men Tell No Tales is great too, but that first film, the Easter eggs that are there, the tone of it, the storyline, it really hits on the mythology of Pirates of the Caribbean and expands it into this really fun adventure film, fun pirate film. It sort of redefines how we think about pirate films. It's got, they all have an iconic, not the whole score is written by Hans Zimmer, but it's got that Hans Zimmer influence in it. And yeah, I love that film. All right, so second question, maybe you'll have the same answer or similar answer, but do you have a favorite character from the franchise?
I mean, can you not say, can you get asked this question and not say Jack Sparrow? I So here's the thing for me, it's Jack, but it isn't necessarily just the film's version of Jack. I love to see Jack in the park. So for me, anybody who knows me knows my work. I'm a big character guy. I love my character interactions. I love my times with the characters, and I love the way the characters are portrayed to us daily in the theme park. So for me, it's visiting with Jack Sparrow just outside the attraction. So it goes deeper than the film. I think it's the fact that we actually get to have that moment with Jack himself, right inside Adventureland. So I have to say Jack Sparrow because I actually get real life experience with him.
Yeah, for me, it's a kind of a two-parter. I'm gonna lean actually towards Barbosa, but
Okay.
I'm gonna mix it with the specific aspect I love about him is his relationship with Jack. They're kind of these frenemies. Like he's part antagonist, part protagonist. He's at one point, at some points he's there with Jack. Some points he's going against Jack's wishes. They're on either separate. They're both on their. They both have their agendas, and sometimes those meet. And when they
Correct. Yeah.
pair together, it makes for a really fun dynamic. And he does provide a lot of comedic relief to the film too. I just
For
love
sure.
the acting and the portrayal that Jeffrey Rush gives to the character. He's just a fun character. You don't know, at some points you're rooting for him, some points you're not. It just depends on the story and the moment in the story. So he's this rogue character I just love.
Would you classify their friendship as it would probably be categorized as quote, it's complicated, right? Like that is the epitome of their friendship. It's
Yes.
complicated. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. It's a fun, I would say that dynamic is such a great, and going right off what you said, such a great dynamic through the films. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Last question, going over to the rides. Do you have a favorite version of Pirates of the Caribbean that you've experienced, or one that you've seen and haven't experienced that you'll say this is your favorite version of Pirates of the Caribbean?
Okay, this is the one I'm totally going to cop out because it's a version of the ride that never happened. But if they let me in the Imagineering room, it's what would have happened. I misread. And I think there was a way that we could have represented Red the pirate in a much better way and kept the iconic line of "We wants the redhead." Think of picking your favorite kickball team, okay? And you get your first pick. Well, pretend we've got two bands of pirates that are picking their squad to go loot a village, and Red is the number one. People want Red. So the line is, "We wants the redhead" as the first pirate to join their crew. We keep a line that I think is iconic to the attraction without being demeaning to the women that were taking it the way that it was a, let's be honest, it was intentionally intended to be. But there's a way to keep that line and adjust things in a way that she gets to be an iconic heroine. So that's my cop out answer. Imagineers, you heard it here first. We could have kept red and kept the line and it not be what it originally was. So there's my cop out answer, Matthew. I hope that's okay.
The original version. Okay, I can see that, and it applies to multiple versions. I'm going to give a very traditional answer that I've given on the show many times, which is the Disneyland version. Yeah, I'll keep it in its current form. My favorite version of the ride. It's a classic version. It's obviously not the same that it was when it was created in the 1960s, but I don't think I would like it as much the way it was in the 1960s. You need enhancements, you need updates, you need refreshes, updates, and it is a classic. I think it's a masterclass attraction. So I'm going to go with that one. But let's pivot to Beak Barrel. I think this was your first time going there
Correct.
as well.
Correct.
All right.
Yep.
So, how did it meet or compare to your expectations going in?
So right off the bat, like you had mentioned earlier on, I knew this was going to be a media event for us. So I went in with those expectations of knowing that more than likely we were going to be given some freedoms that, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more, that regular guests would not necessarily get in their experience.
Yes.
So I went in with the tempered expectations of not necessarily knowing exactly how things would go for flow and all of that, but as far as the overarching theme, I had pretty lofty expectations. I knew what they were able to do over in Galaxy's Edge. I've seen, I've seen some Club 33 bars. I know the level of theming that can be done when Disney really wants to put that effort into a lounge or bar location. So I went in with lofty expectations of what to expect as far as the environment, but pretty tempered expectations as far as what to expect as for the hour that we were there.
Yeah, and for those who are going to be going in the future or have been even since this podcast is live, it's a 45-minute experience, so it's going to be limited to 45 minutes. And I don't know if you've noticed this too, but literally after 45 minutes, I heard the first thing we heard when we entered into the tavern. So
it's on a loop. Yep.
Yeah. So you will literally, if you're there for 45 minutes, you will get the full show experience. And at that point, if you stayed beyond 45 minutes, it will be on a loop. So it's like sitting and watch, because this really is a show. In addition to being a place to go and grab a bite to eat, there's so much participation. There were so many things happening. It felt like a big evolution of Trader Sam's, because
absolutely, yeah,
Trader Sam's, there are moments that happen based on the drinks that individual guests order. So you might hear, and of course we hear a countless times when we're in there, are the shrunken head drink. I can't remember the name of it. It's been a while since I've been at Trader Sam's, but you'll get these, you'll have repeat moments because other guests will order the same drink. But this is a synchronized show that occurs over the span of 45 minutes. And obviously it's not something happening continuously throughout, but I don't know about you, it felt like every 3 to 4 minutes, there was something happening that we would pay attention to, that would direct our attention mostly to Rummy, the parrot in the tavern, the sort of the first mate of the tavern. But I felt like every 3 to 4 minutes, I was turning my attention to something happening somewhere.
And what I really loved going off of that is it moves around the whole space. So there's three significantly different rooms. There's the mess hall, which is the main area that you walk into. To the left of that is the map room, and to the right is the captain's quarters with the captain's bench seats. And the three distinct areas all have different things going on. So if you're in the map room and you're missing something on the other side, don't worry. At some point, the map room has its very own thing that goes on. And it has its own Easter eggs. It has its own set apart piece of the show. So I loved that part of it, because I do think in the 45-minute experience you have as a regular guest, they're going to ask you to sit still in your seat. They're going to ask you to remain seated, to not walk around the venue. We were allowed to do that. We were given some liberties to walk around and enjoy the space. But I still tried to think about it from a guest perspective who was not allowed to do that. Somebody who was there sitting stationary in their seat, would they be able to enjoy? And sure, there's going to be some little tiny details here and there that are going to be reasons for you to come back. But for the most part, the experience as a whole, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to see enough of the show in your one spot. So I don't want anybody to think that's a reason to not come here. I still think it's a worthwhile experience, but it is worth noting that you are going to be stuck in that one area.
Yes, and I think the way we experienced it, I describe as a cocktail hour because we were invited to. They laid out pretty much everything, or a wide selection of the menu in terms of drinks and food items. They had it constantly on the bar, at all time, the cursed bar, for us to go and sample and just sort of bring to our own table. So it was cocktail hour style, and it made me think if you are a diehard fan, maybe a diehard couple fan of Pirates of the Caribbean, I could only imagine if you do sort of an after hours reception. That's it for your, like a Disney wedding, throwing this out there as a Disney wedding idea. And you have have like a captain, do a ceremony next to the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction and a little courtyard between that and the side of Jungle Cruise. And then, or the parking area, and then a stroller parking area. And then you have the cocktail hour in the tavern. You're not going to have hundreds of guests, but if you have a smaller amount of guests in the tavern, have the full show run, and you have your reception out in Caribbean Plaza outside of the attraction, maybe keep the attraction open. Obviously a very low budget wedding I'm talking about.
Pennies.
Yeah, but that would be such a cool experience. Anyway, I'm glad you brought up the different sections. So just as a refresher for those who maybe read the Disney Parks blog article but don't remember. So the mess, as you said, CJ, is that main area you go into, and it was once a mess hall for Spanish soldiers. That's hard to say. Spanish soldiers, before it was claimed and repurposed by a cunning crew of pirates. This is also where you're going to find the cursed bar. It's really cool that when you look at the cursed bar, it makes the shape of a skeleton. And the manager of the manager who was on watching over the event, who worked at the Beak Barrel, pointed out that in the center, in the skeleton's nose, is this red jar filled with this red liquid, and it was a gift, from what he said, from Tia Dalma, to ensure that the rum never runs out. Which I thought was fun. It's not written in a Disney Parks blog article that I could find, but I thought it was so cool that it's actually, no, it is written. I take that back. But he said it specifically from Tia Dalma. It's the enchanted rum bottle, an ornate bottle of grog, which sits in a place of honor in its own special cove, gifted by a powerful enchantress. The tavern's barrels and the pirates' cheer will never run dry as long as the bottle stays full. So I thought that was such a little throw to the why is the rum gone, throwing that into the storyline of the cursed bar. That's where Rummy is going to come out again. I think we probably saw him close to a dozen times throughout the 45 minutes, and we'll probably dedicate some time talking about him. But then the captain's quarters, like you said, this is once the private residence of the Spanish comandante, and its walls are lined with grand artwork and rich drapery, and you get that sense. It felt more like going into a steakhouse, right? It's just with the fun Pirates of the Caribbean twist, but it's got more of this elegant and stately furniture that you get to sit on and enjoy compared to the mess hall. And then the captain's booths, we're going to definitely talk about that. And then the map maker's room, that seems to be the only thing that's in there is a communal table, standing room only. But this was filled to the brim, or is filled to the brim, with rolled up maps, pieces of parchment, spilled ink, and many treasured secrets that belong to some may say, crazed pirate cartographer. And now pirates gather around the sprawling work table in the center of the room, where the map maker would have spread out his tools and set to work. On the adjacent wall is a large painted map of the known pirating world, with many pirating secrets to be discovered. Will ye be the one to bring them to light? I'm just quoting some of the information from the Disney Parks blog article, but that's just to elaborate on your point, CJ, some of the rooms that we got to experience there. go in a lot
I
of different
think the
directions. Go ahead. Sorry, CJ.
Yeah, no, you're good. I think the map room, it's weird because it is the one that's the most set off. I think it's the one that's probably going to see the least of the overall showpieces.
Probably.
And Matthew, you may think I'm wrong on this. I also think it's going to be the most requested room for people of like decent parties. Like if you roll in with a party of six, you're going to ask for that room. That's the place that I think a lot of people are going to want to be. It's set off on its own. It's private. It has a very fun and like unique vibe all its own to that area. So maybe I'm wrong and time will tell, but I have a feeling that's going to be a very highly sought after area despite not being able to see all the showpieces.
Yeah, it does feel very secluded, and it has this well, you can see into the mess. It's got this it feels walled off because there's a little bit of a wall that's
Half
there for
wall,
separating
yeah.
it. Yeah, you kind of like can look through the wall. Let's focus first then on the captain's quarters. I think you're sorry, the map maker's room, because I think you're leaning us into this direction. So it's got, for those who haven't seen it, like on one side, this wall I'm talking about is a stone wall. It's got a little carved through opening that you can look through, and it's got an archway to walk through into a door. So that's how you can kind of see inside, but it still feels kind of separate. And it does have that map on the wall. It has this really interesting looking lights, this orb-like light at the top that has symbols around it. You have shelves on either end and lots of cabinets and drawers that don't open up, but are obviously show elements. It's got some black lighting on the wall, which leads into something else. And I thought the most intricate detail, and you and I were both talking about this, and I think you mentioned that you even came from a background in construction and were sort of marveling at the cannons, that's the cannonballs that seem to have come from the outside and are now stuck in the plaster on the inside, and the way in which the Imagineers, from an aging and a artistic design perspective, like doing that, you could probably speak to it more than I can, but it's not easy to make it look like a cannonball has come through the wall and is stuck in the wall now.
Yeah, the way that the rock work and the stone from the wall broke, the way the Imagineers had that break is the only way that it shows without you even thinking about it. You look at it and you know that that's a cannonball that was shot from the outside through the wall, and it didn't make it all the way through because some of the rock is grabbing the front of the cannonball. It's just one of those small details that, like, sure, they could have had the cannonball halfway through the wall, and most people probably would have even said anything. But it's that one added little detail that, without us even knowing it, sells the fact, wow, this room took a cannonball from the outside and it's stuck in the wall. And you don't have to suspend that reality at all. You are looking at it. It's what happened. And that's really, it is one of the biggest details of that room because the wall cracks, at least 2 or 3 feet in each direction from this cannonball. But when you look at it, it really does kind of go, okay, wow, that is a legit cannonball that went through the wall. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very believable. And I'm even looking now at this, I'm refreshing my memory, and I'm actually looking at I have plenty of photos, but the Disney Parks blog photo, and it's with the black lighting on, they actually are showing this. I'm sure most people missed it in the photo, but why don't you talk about, CJ, the thing that you found and pointed out to me, or at least heard about and then found and pointed out to me, that's hidden and appears when the black light is illuminated, which is not all the time.
So we learned that it is once in that 40, at least what is once for us in the hour that we were in there. But the room does go, the scene starts, and you can always tell when something's about to happen in the restaurant. There's always some sort of buildup. There's not just like, boom, something happens. There's time to get you a little bit energized, and you could tell the lights start to dim. Something's about to happen. And a message is plastered across the wall in the map room in black light paint that you could only see when these black lights are flipped on for at most maybe 30 seconds. So you get this buildup of like a good minute and a half, and then smacked across the wall is a big message. And I'll leave it to Matthew to decide whether we'll spoil what the message was, but it really was like another one of those things that, again, if you're in that room, that may very well be worth it for your 45-minute experience to have that one showpiece happen all the way around you. So that was cool. And I could notice the reflection of the paint when the lights were on, when the regular lights were on and the black light wasn't. So if you are in the room and you You don't get to experience the blacklight. You can still kind of tell what is written there. Um, but wow, that was crazy. I didn't get photos of it sadly during the transition
It's
because that
hard to
room was
do.
packed and it was hard to do. And we were there during it was busy. There was a lot of people, but I got to experience it and watch it. And I think of all of the show pieces and all the experience, that was one of the ones that was the biggest wow to me. That was a big one. Not
Yes,
the only one. Spoiler, not the only one, but there that was one of the big ones.
it was a big one. Yeah, I won't spoil what it says, but I will say it is a treasure that you will want to look for when you go and find it. I think that's giving a little bit of a hint without giving away what it says. But yeah, it was cool. And then even when the black light appears, it almost feels like there's moonlight. It doesn't feel like I'm in a carnival, right? It feels like
Valid point. Yeah.
it
I didn't
felt just
think
like
about that.
natural. It felt very
Correct.
natural being in there. The way the coloration, they're very good with color, those Imagineers. It felt like it was just moonlight sort of slipping through the side of the wall. So it was very masterfully done. So I think that was the highlight. Obviously, you mentioned the thing that I had found in that room. I was, again, just like looking like a madman looking for clues in the map. And as you look at the Bahamas, you see two, again, this is not an updated 2025 version of a world map. This is what the pirates would have put together as a map back in the 1700s. So it's not to scale. There are, Florida doesn't exactly look like Florida. Cuba doesn't exactly look exactly like Cuba. It's close. Get the idea that that's Florida, that's Cuba, and it's even written that way. But it's not like a to scale cartographically accurate version of the map. But anyway, you do see, again, not to scale, going from Florida sort of on an arch all the way over to Hispaniola. You have all these dotted islands, which basically are the Bahamas. And if you look closely, on one side of the Bahamian Islands says lookouts, and then another side says castaways. So of course, what is that alluding to? Those are the two private experiences that you can get, both with Castaway Cay and Lookout Cay with Disney Cruise Line. So as a little nod for those Disney Cruise Line fans that I thought was a fun little find.
And you can believe when I wrote the blog post for WDW Magazine that I had to mention that one and toss some credit your way for it, because that was one of those ones that you mentioned to me. And then oddly enough, I saw our rep a couple days later on Sunday, and I mentioned it. And she's like, I should have said something because you're right. Like, Matthew hit the nail on the head. I was like, well, he found it and I'm running with it. But verified. Disney verified that you were right on that one before anybody else said anything. And that was one of those things that but again, I knew who to find, man. I knew who to find. But you blew me away with that one. That was one of those things that, like, of course, Matthew's going to find that one. But wow, that was one of those little hidden gems that I think most people won't even notice.
Yeah. And to be fair, this whole bar, this whole tavern, this whole lounge, call it what you want. It is... we were there for an hour. I definitely didn't see everything. And that was with me spending the full hour minus 5 minutes to sample food and drink. Like, for 55 minutes scouring. Is the only word I could use to describe it. Scouring the room, studying, analyzing, photographing. There's so much in there. It's so hard to pick. But I know we could probably talk even a bit about the map maker's room, but let's move to the mess. We'll do this in physical order, going from the left side as you enter into the tavern to the right. And the mess is, because not only do we have some details in there, I talked about the cursed bar, but you also have Rummy in there as well. So a lot of eyes, and I think that's the main attraction for this tavern is going to be Rummy, who's this sort of first mate of the bar. And I have to go back and look at the lore and the background of the story of Rummy, but he kind of, it seems like he's running the bar, right? Like he's making sure that he's the manager on duty for this experience.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake of calling him the mascot, and I was very quickly corrected that is Cat with a K, and Cat with a K is the ship's cat with a C that hangs over the door of the mess hall. So there's a black cat that hangs out over the. So don't get those confused. Don't call Rummy the mascot. They have a mascot, and that is Cat with a K, which we'll talk about, I guess, in a second. But Rummy, you're right, is 100% a vibe and way more running the show than I think any of the pirates working on duty probably want to admit. But most of what we see as guests are started by Rummy coming out and making some sort of an announcement, whether, a storm is coming or wanting us all to sing in tune or whatever it is. Rummy's usually the start of one of the guest experiences that you're going to be part of during your stay there.
Yeah, he's definitely a fun addition. He does command attention. And looking back at the story, I should have mentioned that the establishment was established by the legendary pirate rum runner Captain Meridian, also known as Mary Goldwyn, and her talkative first mate Rummy, the lively pirate, this lively parrot. And so Rummy serves as the tavern's quartermaster, keeping an eye on the place from his roost high atop the bar. Although retired from seafaring life, Rummy is a dutiful crewman to his beloved Mary, ensuring everything is shipshape, sharing tales of piracy, and leading the bar and a rousing toast or two. So that gives you somewhat of an idea. And of course, for Pirates of the Caribbean fans from the original attraction, he does intentionally draw a striking resemblance to the original Barker bird that appeared at the entrance. He's still in the Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland, but for those who aren't old enough to remember or don't remember, prior to the 2006 refurbishment, outside of Pirates of the Caribbean at the front entrance was this Barker bird parrot, sort of as a way to get guests' attention and make them realize that there's a cool pirate attraction here. He was inviting guests inside with some pirate calling. I can't impersonate him, but he's still there at Disneyland if you want to get an idea of what he says. So
yeah, I got a big kick out of look, we knew to expect him. He's all over the park's blog. He's all over the merch. They even have a little shoulder Groot, those little Groot shoulder puppets that you can have. Well, they've got one for Rummy now. So I knew he was going to be a big piece of it. But it kind of goes back to what you were saying, that this is more dinner theater. This is more dinner experience than just a bar. And I think that's what sets not just this room, but the other rooms and the whole experience apart from what people are used to in Galaxy's Edge with Oga's, in that doesn't have the same same revelry and experience that you're going to get here. So if you really want to experience that, I think Mess Hall is probably the best room to land in if you want that like full revelry experience, the shouting, the screaming, the singing along. I think this is your room to really experience everything that this bar offers.
Yeah, and I'll leave the specifics of what Rummy says and what he does. I know that you weren't looking to spoil anything, and I'm not looking to spoil anything here either, because I think he is sort of the star of the show. But there are certainly moments that you might be able to predict that might happen in a Pirates of the Caribbean tavern that allude to the films or to the ride that are a lot of fun, and Rummy leads the way for us. But you're right, on the opposite end of the wall, something that people not realize is because when it's above you when you walk in, is this cat that is not happy that Rummy is there, maybe not his biggest fan. And then nearby you also have this bell, sort of like, looks like the Liberty Bell, right? It's this bell above the door, and that is a gift, it says, from or it's said to be a gift from the legendary Captain Red. So speaking of Red, it seems to be a gift from her that you can go and see. And it's trying to look back. I literally just had it up. But anyway, so that's another thing. It's a little Easter egg that you can find in there that does come from comes specifically from Red. Here we go. The rumor has it this bell was from Captain Red's first ship, gifted to Mary at the tavern's founding. So that's what the there's so much. I have my notes in front of me, but there is, as you can tell, so much to know.
So many
like,
notes.
What was this about again? What was this about again? So that was the story behind it. Did you hear anything else about Cat? Because all I knew was that he wasn't a fan of Rummy.
Yeah, not the biggest fan of Rummy, not the biggest fan of work. I heard, Cat likes to really lay up there and just hang out all day and relax. But it's funny because as much as it didn't seem to have a whole lot of lore to Cat yet, we know that will, as the bar stays open, that will change. There will be probably some more lore added, or there's a story that we just haven't heard yet. But everybody all the cast members that are working in this establishment are pirates, and I think that's worth noting that when you're interacting, you are on a pirate ship, y'all. Like, this is not a server. This is a pirate. Sorry, you're not in the ship, but you are with pirates who have worked on a pirate ship. You are in their bar. You are experiencing a pirate life. You are going to interact with pirates during this experience. So when we were asking them some of their favorite things in the establishment, I love Cat the Cat with a K. Don't call her Cat with a C. Like, they are so into it that even something as simple as the black cat over the door becomes grand and this like huge part of this story because the cast member who's explaining it has such passion for their position. So that's another part that, like, overarching, no matter what room you're in, really enjoy your interactions with the cast members because they're a huge part of this experience. And talking with them gave us a lot of these fun Easter eggs, like Cat with the K, whose entire story we don't know, but I now need to know more,
Yeah. And I think you sent me a photo of this. I'm pretty sure it's in the mess. And I was looking back at all these photos. First of all, there's, like anything else. So there's a board that has a sword in it, and it's got all these announcements. It's sort of like a little town billboard of sorts, or bulletin board of sorts. And there was a couple of fun things here, like walk the plank, swim school. It's kind of fun. Reading for rascals. Can ye read? Can ye write? Do you want to learn? Don't be the sailor. What don't know their ABCs. It's, ball and chain matchmaking service. So, like,
that's a good one.
Yeah, like
for us married folks, especially.
They definitely had a lot of fun with this.
Oh yeah.
And they have a little, I think this is what you sent to me when I found back looking at the photos, but they have a little business card for Pup and Padlock, sort of like this locking service company. And it's got, of course, a little picture, a drawn picture of the famous dog in the jail scene from Pirates of the Caribbean, The Ride.
Holding the keys. Yep.
Holding the keys. Yeah, it's just loaded with all of these little fine-tuned details. But I want to move to the captain's quarters because I feel like there's a lot in here. But is there anything else noteworthy to call out from the mess?
I just think that you hit the nail on the head. That one area, Matt, that one bulletin board couldn't have been more than 1 foot by 1 foot, right? Like a 12 by 12 at most. And that one area has at least 3 or 4 hidden Easter eggs in it. So I just think that drives home that, like, there are so many things to experience in that. So if you're in the mess, just know that it is a big and grand area. This will probably be what sums it all up for me. This is the type of place you have to experience more than once. And I don't mean just the bar. I mean each room you probably need to experience multiple times because the mess had so many unique things happening on a grand scale all around it. But yeah, I just think this is the kind of place you're going to want to go multiple times. But as far as one last little thing in that area, I really love the anchor, the hanging above us, the big anchor that was hanging there. Anything that can have you forced to look not just left, right, but down and up is an awesome experience. They didn't leave a blank ceiling here, so everything above you, all the square footage above you is pretty well covered too. So look everywhere when you're in this bar.
Yeah, definitely do. The captain's quarters, I think, is filled with so many details. This was probably my favorite room because it was off to the side and was filled with a lot of stuff, and yet it felt like you were a little bit more removed from the action, but still able to see it and experience it. So it felt like a little bit of a quieter room to me, and I'm an introvert, so I tend to like lean towards those experiences more than the rowdy,
far less clutter.
Yes, definitely far less clutter, but still. I'm gonna use the word littered because it's not in the bad way, but like littered with stuff for you to look at. One of my favorites was on the wall. You have "Ye Pirate Oath" written by Captain Jack Sparrow. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it reads, "Ye pledge to be a true and honest pirate, to be trusted, not to be trusted, to run from any fight ye cannot win, to win and fight, ye cannot run from." Oh, to win any fights. It's written in this really complicated script, so it's amazing I read it clearly until then. And it ends with above all to sing "Yo ho" in a hearty voice. Ye are now an official pirate. Welcome aboard, ye scallywag, Captain Jack Sparrow. So I thought that was a fun little pirate oath there. Should we talk about the main event that happens in this room? It's something that only happens in the captain's quarters, and that's the ship battle that happens in the bottled ships.
Which I had teased. I had said, I loved this one Easter egg, but there was one more that probably took the cake. This would be the one for me, this is the Easter egg that takes the cake of the entire restaurant.
Yeah. And it is truly an Easter egg and an illusion. I think it's pretty clear what's happening when the illusion happens. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's a pretty fun illusion when one of the ships loses, and you can, again, I think it's a pretty traditional magic trick, nonetheless. Not any less magical, but it's still really, especially I think for kids, they're going to be blown away because this. I should add, this is not like Go82, where you have to be 21 and up. This is for any age can come and experience this. So if you have kids that love Pirates of the Caribbean, there are food and drink items for them to choose from. This is not
great
just
ones
an adult
too.
lunch. Yes,
yeah,
I got to sample one of them.
Yeah, great food options, which I will make sure I'll make sure we talk a little bit about that too, because I really have something to say about the food options. But I love that you brought that up because it is something that's very family friendly, and there isn't a prefix cost to it. So I think that also will help some families that are a little worried. Oh, but like, what if Johnny doesn't want to spend $40? This is not a prefix character meal option. This is something that they can still enjoy, maybe get one or two little items and have a great time. But the ship in a bottle, to kind of loop back to it. Again, I don't want to give away what happens, but when you have that many people at a media event who we have all seen a lot of really awesome Disney things, right? Like this is the lucky and blessed side of what we get to do for a living. We get to be sometimes some of the first eyes to experience these things. When you have a room full of media people they've seen a lot of this stuff, and we all were punched around watching these two ships in a bottle, I think that speaks volumes, right? Like, we've seen a lot of really awesome things, and we were still all plastered to these tiny little ships in a bottle, all of us watching what happened. And I think that's the true Disney magic right there. When we've seen as many things as we have, and yet still we're dumbfounded by what we were watching. And again, hard to see if you're in the map room. So another reason, hey, just try to get back, and be kind to your server and say, hey, last time I was here, I sat in the map room. I'm willing to wait. Is there a chance that we can try another table? But yeah, the more things that happened around the room, this ship bottle, the ships in a bottle, you're only really going to get a great view of that in maybe 5 seats in the entire bar.
Yeah, it's very small. And there is an audio Easter egg in there from the original Pirates of the Caribbean attraction, which was amazing. Think ship battle, original attraction, audio. You're going to probably put the pieces together. I used to hope so from those little things. But I'm going to try not to spell it out directly again for those who don't want this experience completely spoiled for them. Also, that room, I didn't spend nearly enough time in here, but it has Davy Jones's locker. And I did see Davy Jones's chest in that locker. So that was kind of cool. And then one of the things that was pointed out to me was it's called the Captain's Quarters, and there are 4 booths that are there. Each one of those 4 booths tells the story of a different captain. And I happened to be sitting at Captain Jack Sparrow's booth. That's where I just chose to sit. I was free, and I just sat there, and one of the crewmates pointed it out to me. And truly, if you look, there's like woodworking behind where you're sitting, or behind the sort of like where behind your head or your shoulders would be, and it carved it tells a carved story, wooden carved story. So you look at it visually from left to right. of Captain Jack Sparrow's journey from the first film to the third. So that was a really cool little thing to notice. I didn't see who the other captains were. I tried to figure it out, but it was kind of tough to tell who they were.
It was pretty dark in there at that for us too, but the carvings were so detailed and so precise, that became another one of my like favorite little Easter eggs that you had pointed out, because this wasn't just like one or two big like cutouts. This is very fine detail going around the entire back of end of the booth. So
Yes.
I would say it's probably a good like 12 feet of full length, probably around, once you wrap it around, it's probably a good 12 feet full length of carved art. And that's on every booth. So it was very, very detailed. And that's another one of those things. I mean, I pulled out my cell phone light and actually was like trying to, for lack of a better term, reading it. It's almost like reading hieroglyphics, but trying to almost read the visual story. And that was really cool.
Yeah, it really was. Anything else? There's actually another booth table that I didn't notice. They again, you can go here and spend an hour here and still not see everything, but I do know. So one of the things that was mentioned in the Disney Parks blog article, it's sort of the last table, the farthest table in that room. It's kind of hard to see anything happening in the mess, is a private sitting room where pirates partake in their favorite games of skill and chance. And there's literally like a checkerboard in the table. It's drawn onto the table itself. Ye may spy the telltale signs of past matches and perhaps a warning for any bandits thinking of bending the rules. And I candidly did not figure out what that was. I don't know if you did. But I was trying to find it. It was they really, for me at least the amount of time I spent in that particular section, it was hidden. Like I couldn't find what they were talking about, but I know that it's there somewhere.
I only saw the inlaid chessboard. The only thing I could think of was that some of the spots were red and white. And so maybe the red was a homage to, a battle but I didn't see anything that was like a telltale sign the inlaid, I mean, honestly, that's what took my eyes away. Just the beautiful inlaid woodworking on the chess or checkerboard. I thought that was beautiful, but I didn't pick up what that Easter egg was. So now you and I have to get that.
We have to go back. We'll have to check it out. I was looking at there's this huge like cabinet behind that booth. I was trying to look at all that. They have like books and these overflowing chests with jewels. And I was like, I was trying to figure it out and I just could not find that little telltale sign. But either way, it's definitely, if you're an introvert like me, if you have a larger party, it looks like it could maybe fit 5-6 people. It's a nice little booth to sit in. It's a little quieter over there, but again, you will miss out on some of the happenings with the mess. You'll hear it, but not necessarily see it very closely. We should definitely talk about food because we haven't talked about that yet. And there are, like you talked about, and what we just talked about a few minutes ago, there's 4 items that you can eat from the galley, and then they have non-alcoholic specialty beverages, signature cocktails, wine, draft beer, rum selections, allergy-friendly options, etc. So what did you try that you enjoyed while you were there?
I tried everything that they offered. So I wanted to do the NA thing. I wanted to have at least a couple sips of the alcoholic beverage. I am not vegan. I am a full-fledged meatitarian, if anything. But I still wanted to try it so that I could give some insight to people. So yeah, I tried everything. I am the father of a 6-year-old girl who loves all things Disney related. She's an extrovert. This is exactly the kind of thing she would get a kick out of. So they did offer it is considered it's under the non-alcoholic beverages, but it's actually a whole plate. It's a tasting that comes with basically cake pops, vanilla cake looking popsicle. They call it a plank. I think it's a white cake plank. Then they have a chocolate cannonball, which is a little chocolate, think like donut hole, covered in chocolate, caramel corn. And then they had a really unique beverage that it was a coconut water based beverage. Again, non-alcoholic, but this whole plate screams something that the kids are going to love. Like they're going to flip out over that plate of food. Adult wise, I love the margarita that I had every time that you order it. bartender pronounces it margarita back to you. So that was the margarita was great. The griddled corn cake was probably one of those. I went in with low expectations on the food. This is a bar. I knew that the drinks and the theme would be driven the way of alcohol. The food, I don't know about you, Matthew, but that grilled corn cake with the shredded chicken, the Chipotle chicken, was so
Delicious.
good.
So good. Yeah.
So good.
It's Cook's corn griddle cakes with roasted corn and poblano peppers. It's warm corn cake stuffed with melted cheese, lime sour cream, chili peppers, and cotija cheese. It was absolutely delicious. So
It was so good.
yeah, it was. So the two things you mentioned are what I had. And I don't drink alcohol, so I did not sample any of the alcoholic beverages, but I did have, that's the treasure trove. So yes, that's the drink is, they describe it as a mysterious ube, lemon, and coconut concoction. It was refreshing. I definitely tasted the ube in it, but yeah, to have dessert with my drink, that was absolutely the pun intended, I guess, the icing on the cake. It was, and it's, everything here, it's all about experience. So you're not getting this in the glass. Like we got this in sort of like a pirate mug. It had a like a metallic texture to it. So it felt very in story, every little detail about this. I did not have, I saw, and I was honestly tempted to try it. I'm not a very adventurous eater, but the Kraken's Catch from the galley, which is octopus tentacles marinated in lemon and lime juice with olives, bell peppers, avocado, and spicchio pepper almond foam. And it looks, you kind of question, like, is this a drink with octopus tentacles coming out of it? But it's actually an item to eat. So it looked really, really interesting. I read the wrong griddle cakes. It's Cook's corn griddle cakes with chipotle braised chicken, not the roasted corn. So you're right. That's the one we had. It had
and they did have the roasted corn offering also. So I figured, let me try it for our vegan friends because it's a limited menu. Those are the items. These grilled corn cakes and the octopus. That's it. Those are the two like hearty food items on the menu. So I wanted to try because that is the vegan offering, and basically think like a Mexican street corn inside of a griddled corn cake. So it was great. The peppers weren't too spicy. It had a nice level of spice to it. All around, I thought all three offerings were pretty good when we got to taste them. So
I love
no
them
complaints
too.
on the food. Yeah,
it was really, really good. I would go back even just for the food, but it's you go for the experience, but it's a place where the food lives up to the experience, in my opinion. So we could talk again for a long time about all the details, and this just sort of like I think gives listeners a good taste of the level of detail and storytelling and what to expect when they go there. So two quick wrap up questions. First related to the bar, and then one related to you. So overall, final thoughts or anything that we missed that's worth mentioning about the Beak Barrel.
I think, look, Matthew, being very candid, pulling back the curtain a little bit, Matthew and I didn't prep for this. Like, right, the two of us were like, hey, man, we're two friends. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk about Beak Barrel. So we didn't talk about going spoiler free for this episode, but I'm glad that we did, because I think this is a experience. And if we sat right here, you and me, this entire show, and talk about what we experienced, it's going to kill it for some other people. It really is. So trust me when we both say it. This is something that you want to go in and experience. It's not a prefix. You're not going to have to go in and blow $150 if you don't want to. But I promise you, keep trying to get the reservation, especially if you like Pirates of the Caribbean. This is like a must do. But even if you're not, even if you just want to see what Disney can offer in this world of a themed bar, it's worth it. It is worth it. And I don't want to go into detail because I think we did a great job of avoiding that and giving people this was our hype reel, right? This was to build the hype for it. And I think we did a good job of that. I don't want to ruin anything. I want y'all to be excited like we were. But I mean it when I say it. This is best experience, not just listen to us talk about it. Really get in there and experience it yourselves, because it's a 10 out of 10 to me.
Yeah, it's like living inside Pirates of the Caribbean as if it were created in the year 2025. It is next level detail and storytelling. The Imagineering is incredible. The storytelling is incredible. And it is certainly someplace I want to go back. It is the sold out reservations are warranted. And, don't be afraid to dine here. If you get an off peak time, if it's like 10:30 in the morning, hey, do it. Like it's still worth going and experiencing. Have a brunch tavern experience at Beacon
That's
Tower.
right.
If it comes down to it, it's still so
do the
much
treasure
fun.
trove.
Do the treasure trove.
Yeah.
Spend 45 minutes in there too. Spend the full time that you get so you can experience all the show elements as they unfold. And last question, CJ, is you take photos for WDW Magazine. You write for the blog. Like anything else you want to pitch or to send people your way?
I mean, not really. I do have my own Instagram, Main Street Lightroom, if y'all want to come on over and check out what I'm up to.
Great photos. I followed there too.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. That's the big thing. I'm glad that WDW Mag. We both knew the other person existed, but I was glad that WDW Magazine was a conduit for us to actually connect and do some stuff together. So that's it. You can find me over there. I did write a blog piece about Beak Barrel. I name dropped Matthew over there. So if you want to go over and check that out, that coincides with what we just talked about here. But for the most part, man, I want to take the second to thank you for having me. I got to do podcasting. Yeah, man, I got to do podcasting in my previous life. So it was fun to get back on and talk with somebody fun and interesting and who loves it as much as I do. So thanks for having me, man. This was a real joy.
Yeah, likewise, CJ. Thanks for coming on to the show. We'll definitely have you back, and perhaps we'll meet up at Beak Barrel again, hopefully sometime soon.
I'm still looking for reservations for 2, so trust me.
We'll make it happen. Cool.
Thanks.
Welcome back to Imagination Central. Before you exit this episode, remember to follow Imagination Skyway on social media and share the show with anyone who might enjoy listening to our program. For ad-free episodes and bonus content, create a free account or sign up for a premium subscription at patreon.com/Imagination Skyway. When you're ready for your next vacation, remember that listeners of Imagination Skyway can get rewarded for booking a trip to Disney in 2025 through KMV Travel. Simply fill out the form at kmvtravel.com/Skyway and make sure that you select Imagination Skyway under the How Did You Hear About Us question to be eligible for a special gift from the team. Terms and conditions apply. As you disembark, please remember to remain fully seated until the podcast comes to a complete stop, then gather your belongings and watch your head and step as you exit. Thank you for joining me aboard Imagination Skyway, and remember, if we can dream it, we can do it.